Susan, well, it must be the same person, from Sarasota, and she says, "Hi, Dr. Rosensweet. I reached out to you a couple of years ago for help with menopause symptoms. You called me back to set up a consultation, but I got cold feet and didn't follow through. I've told myself that it's just a natural phase of life," boy, is this a theme,
Yeah.
"that I should be able to endure. I don't have much patience left to stick with that mindset. I feel like I'm at my wit's end. I don't go along with the current state of our medical and insurance systems. For me, it's a pretty big deal to reach out to you again. I have to admit that I'm scared of putting substances in my body, but I can't see continuing to live this way. I assume you deal with situations like mine all of the time. Regards, Susan."
All of the time. Because in the history of treating women in menopause, a lot of fundamental errors were made. And then the big scare came along, and then for the reasons we mentioned today, that even the delivery systems of hormones, if they're not done properly, if people don't know to not give oral estrogen, and to not just give estradiol, to give estriol and a ton of other things that we talk about, it's, you know, you do the best you can, but why not go all the way? And so here's what because Susan and I've met so many women like yourself, they got scared. And they're basically committed to natural life anyway, and they're concerned about the modern world, that we've gone way overboard, so that amplifies that concern. And as a young doctor, I had this up the yin-yang, whatever that is.
And there are medical excesses all over the place.
And I went through this amazing medical school that I just loved. It was like going to the ultimate in a temple for me. And
University of Michigan.
University of Michigan, and I got out of there, graduated, and I was afraid of every medication because I read the possible side effects. You know, you watch a television ad, take this medicine, it's so good for you, it's going to alleviate your depression. And don't take it if you're going to drop dead from it, if you're going to get a severe allergic reaction, your head may explode and your legs may fall off. But don't worry about it, because it only happens to about 10% of the people, whatever they say in those ads. It's just astounding. But you really get sidetracked there. I got afraid of every medication there ever was because I started reading the possible side effects, and I threw out the baby with the bathwater, and I was a natural lifestyle type guy myself. And then gradually over time, I realized, wait a minute, there have been medical advances and medical tools that are phenomenal, and you just use them right and use them at the right time. And they're phenomenal, and they save people's lives, and they extend people's lives, and they keep families together, and they're just amazing what's available. You just want to do it right. So that's what I'd suggest. So my heart has warmed up. At first I was a rebel against my very training and these beautiful physicians that trained me that I loved. But I rebelled because I was afraid, and then now I'll accept whatever the right tool is at the right time, and that includes chemotherapy and radiation and surgery. And there's the right tool to use at the right time, and use those for the immediate short run, and then recover your life after you take advantage of these phenomenal tools. So I share your concern, and I went through this myself, but that's not where I'm at today. I'm trying to say, with all the challenges in every individual's life that I meet up with, including my own, I do definitely meet up with my own life, I say, what's the best we can do? I weigh the risks and the benefits. I know a lot about things, and I've gotten beyond the fears I used to have into, let's get down to business here. What is the truth here? And what I want to, if I can shortcut it again, and this has happened to so many women, Susan, they enter menopause exactly like you did, or exactly like I started off as a doctor, afraid of everything. And then gradually over time, the same thing that happened to you, you start realizing that not being able to sleep at night, picture that. Don't sleep well for 3 nights in a row.
Yeah, it's fine for 1 night or 2.
Yeah, you can sort of endure it. But if it's a permanent pattern, or your memory's faltering because you don't have enough estrogen, or a ton of things can happen. And so many women change over time when they start realizing, wait a minute, I don't care what it is, I've got to deal with this. I like living, and this is too disabling. And I think what's so wonderful about menopause, and which is different with many other illnesses, is this is not really an illness. But oh, can it give you the raucous symptoms? The life-stopping symptoms, or slowing you down, or wrecking your day-to-day life. The difference between this and an illness is this one can be remedied with molecules that are in your body already. And so that's why so many women have really righteous and dramatic and beneficial response, and they turn to love these hormones. Like I said earlier in a question today, somewhere along in our several different programs, there's no physician on earth that would, if they identified low thyroid hormone, that they wouldn't immediately put the patient on thyroid hormone. And there's probably never been a patient in the history of the world with low thyroid hormone, and this is an epidemic. There's so many people with low thyroid hormone, it's common almost as people who breathe, and there's a lot of those folks out there. It's not a little facetious. That once they've been given thyroid hormone, and they start feeling better, and their energy returns, and their clear thinking returns, they wouldn't dream of wanting to come off of thyroid hormone. Well, you tell me the difference between estrogens, and progesterone, and testosterone, and DHEA, and thyroid hormone, and insulin, and cortisol. You don't want to get low on any of these things. Well, you could say, well, it's natural to get ovarian hormone decline. I'm going to really challenge that. Because there's two different stages of that decline. Yeah, you stop having periods, but then there's the long-term decline where the real stuff starts happening. So you get a little sleep disturbance, and that should tell you, gee, something's going wrong here. I wonder what it is, and I wonder what I need to do. And your body's giving you a message that this thing is worth dealing with. And I'll tell you what's worth dealing with, and this, we've put a lot of attention in this, is what happened after years and years and years of this decline to the bones, to the arteries, to the muscles, to the brain, to the vagina, to the bladder. You get, as I've said earlier today, you get the adult diapers, you get the canes, walkers, wheelchairs, and you get into assisted living. And I can tell you from the people who endure that and appreciate it, because there's a lot of caring and loving people in assisted living and nursing homes. My heart goes out to these people. But if they were given the choice, they would have liked to have prevented leaving their families and their homes. They would have liked to have stayed strong and be able to walk and hold their urine and their bowels and be able to think clearly. And hormones is a very profound part of it. It's not the whole story. No way. So I'm here to encourage you to take your life and what's going on for you and figure it out. Keep going. Start with our book, Happy, Healthy Hormones, because hormones are a part of what's going on for you. And when a woman comes into my office, because like you suggested, Susan, I've seen so many women in your situation. And they all come in with a concern because they heard the popular press. And they want to know from me, what do I think about that? And so even if they don't bring up that concern, and this is part of what we teach all of our doctors and nurse practitioners, is we proactively bring it up in the first visit, because we know lingering in the back of their mind and heart is, I may take these hormones, but I'm afraid I'm going to get breast cancer.
Right.
So part of the menopause method, and it's on the checklist, is deal with the risks. And it doesn't take much. The woman, I find, just needs to know that I know what the truth is there. And the truth is, these hormones don't cause cancer. And it's a story around it, and I've talked about it earlier. It's definitely covered in the book. But when I explain what I explain to a woman and she's still reluctant, here's what I say I've said it hundreds of times. Listen, let's respect your reluctance. Let's not give you hormones. But here's what I do suggest. This is what I'm going to prescribe for you. You go out and learn about this stuff, because there is a lot known, and it's not hard to learn about. In fact, I would hand them my book. I say, start here. And if that doesn't do it for you, keep going until you know in your heart, in your guts, what's right for you, because that's what it comes down to. They have to know, each individual woman needs to know, and men too. I mean, I'm talking about women. We specialize in treating women in menopause, but men, this is the same thing going on in men, don't they? Why do you think Viagra, when it came on the market, just exploded into one of the most popular drugs on earth? Because men were having erectile dysfunction from low testosterone primarily.
Yeah.
Not the only reason, but it's one of the biggest ones. So you learn for yourself, and I promise you that if you do what we need to do when we don't know something, is we dive in there and learn what's being said out there, what seems true to me, what do I respect, who do I respect. There will come a moment in your study, in your encountering of talking to people and talking to your women friends of what's right for you. And so what's been very common is a woman will come to that first visit, I'll sense that reluctance, I'll say, let's respect that. And just here's some resources. You go discover what the truth is for you. And it turns out that a lot of these women come back, and they come back in a total different frame of mind. For one thing, they've been absolutely beleaguered by their deficiency symptoms,
Yeah, like
which
some
many
our
of them
stories today.
never adjust to, especially the thinner and healthier ones. And the other thing is that some women don't come back. And this is what we instruct our doctor. You never want to override an individual woman's intuition. She might be the one who, for the last 15 years, she's been developing a well-differentiated breast cancer that's growing slowly, that does have estrogen-positive receptor sites, and you feed her estrogen, and what's going to happen, it's going to grow a little faster and be detectable, but no one wants to promote those. The hormone never caused the cancer. I'm going to make this statement. No hormone given properly in physiologic doses and proper doses ever caused a cancer. Oh, that's pretty bold. Well, do the research, and you might conclude the same thing. But you can make mistakes with hormones. You can overdose. You can make someone more vulnerable to cancer if you overdose. But who needs to overdose? It's when you know how to test for it. You know how to test the woman you're treating with hormones. You test her in real time, and you see what hormones are in her body. You'll detect overdose, and so you say, "Let's ratchet it down." This is not rocket surgery to figure this out. Ultimately, once you get good at it. But yeah, so I never want to override an individual woman's will and convince her. But what I do like to say is dive into it. You're going to gain a point of a certain amount of knowledge and intuition that you're going to go, you know what, I'm never going to take hormones. I'm going to do what feels right to me. I don't care if every woman on my block is taking hormones. Not me. It's not for me. When I dived into this and I keep feeling it and understanding it, not for me. Or you might go, wow, I was afraid of hormones. And then I dived into this subject.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of them now. I feel like, give them to me. You know, you'll find your way there, Susan. We see, and you're in Sarasota, Florida, and we have physicians in this area that can help you with this by telemedicine.
All of this that's come out today has sort of had a coincidental theme or whatever, and that's natural. And it's bringing up one last thing that I want to talk about maybe before we wrap this day, and that's that I see in America a dichotomy between holistic, natural-oriented healers and Western healers. And when I try and explain who you are and what you do, I kind of say something new, and it's called and, right? On either end of that spectrum, I got to kind of personally say, yeah, but what, really? Right? If you're radically Western-leaning medical doctor and you dismiss everything that's over in the take care of yourself health side of things, I go, you're missing something. And conversely, it's true.
That's right.
There is an and relationship to this information. And they both have validity and value and a place. And in my opinion, especially after working with you for all these years and watching what you do as a medical doctor, I go, just like you already said, reach into that giant grab bag. It's all there. And they're all tools. And
when you're talking about this, the cameras may not see this, but tears well up inside of me because I was a young rebel trying to throw out the old stuff, and that I got cured of that really quickly.
Yeah.
And you know me well enough to know that there is a lot of approaches and tools to assist people with life, with their mind, with their emotions, and with their body. And why the tears came to me is I have met so many physicians and nurses and janitors in hospital and social workers and assisted living facilitators and, at every level of the healthcare industry. And I know so many caring, devoted people who have given their life's work to doing this. And so that's, when I hear people badmouth one side or the other, it really disturbs me internally, because I know the faces, I know the people, and I know it's like an army out there of good people, not perfect people. And yes, there are some bad eggs. And modern medicine is very tough to practice because of economic concerns and insurance, and it's not funded well. And we could go into that whole discussion. And so there's some people who have burnt out there, and they're not so great. But there's an army of people in your town that are doing great things for people. And then what you were trying to point out is I embrace every single tool that has ever come forward, because most of them have helped somebody at some time and at the right moment. And of course, we have a dear family member who her life was saved by chemotherapy. That didn't end the story of her recovery, but she thanked God for her oncologist, who she loved, and she was very holistically oriented.
This person also went to huge lengths to take care of herself, to change everything about her diet.
The whole spectrum.
Everything. She was embracing everything holistic.
Exactly.
And
that's what holistic medicine is to me. It's medicine. It's good medicine. I don't care about holistic. We just want good medicine.
Yeah.
And you want to choose the right thing and the right person at the right time. And if you're in an emergency situation, boy, you want to get down on your knees and thank all that is. I always struggle over what's the right word to use. For these devoted people who have given decades and decades of their life to get excellent at what they do. And go to them. And my God, I've received the blessings of these people personally in my own health journey. And then, but you want to cover the whole thing, from the highest surgical or oncological specialist to a health coach that's going to teach you from the ground up about nutrition. You got to get it all right. And we're very blessed, and the tears are because I'm very uncomfortable with people who polarize in the medical profession, and they don't have the whole view.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as traditional medicine or holistic medicine or conventional medicine. To me, there's nothing like that, and I'm not the first to say this. There is something called good medicine. And man, you want to draw for the whole panoply of everybody that can help you.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up. That's a near and dear topic to my heart.
Yeah, to mine
And I
as well.
wince when someone comes in and they tell me a tale of the roughness that they faced in the medical experience. Because, for one thing, you feel for the patient who had to go through that. But then the whole profession gets bad-mouthed, and people get afraid of the basics. And this might be part of what you're pointing out about with Susan. There's reason to be feared because some junk stuff happens out there. But you get afraid of, and then you get afraid of everything. And rightfully so, because you could have a personal experience where someone got really injured just by going through the general health approach to general medical stuff. But
and no action is an action, right? Fear
no action
can
is an action.
freeze us into not doing something, and that has consequences
Major.
too.
But there is also, I had to do a lot of shopping in my life. There were a lot of things that I needed help with. I needed teachers. I needed guidance. I needed sessions. I needed to pay out money to do the kind of growth that I wanted to do and the kind of healing that I wanted to do. And you go out shopping. And you call up an office, and you're going to talk to someone, and if they feel good, you go forward, and if they don't, you don't.
Yeah.
And you go shopping. You talk to your friends, and you find your way to the right people, because there's a lot of them. There's an army at every level. I remember when my father was ill in the hospital, and one of the people that touched him the most, and it touched me every day because I was spending a lot of time in there with him, was this janitor who came in every day to clean his bathrooms. And that man, he had such an effect on my father and I. That's why I say every level. There is no level that isn't important out there, and there's an army of folks out there. And they're not that well paid, a lot of them, and they're working way too hard, and so I wish the American economy would rally to the care of the healthcare workers. They don't burn out.
And
excuse me.
And rally. I was just going to add, no, excuse me. and rally to the care of the people who need the care.
Yeah. Oh boy, we're getting into the nitty gritty. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yet another great talk, at least for me.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I feel the value. I'm a man, and I'm sitting here feeling the value of this stuff. I guess I'm married to a woman.
Yes, you are.
A great one.
My beloved daughter.
Yeah. Couple nice notes. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Bev.
Oh,
Yeah. And
hi, Kim.
And
Hi, Bev. Hi, Kim.
so here we have, as Click and Clack would say, squandered another hour.
Hi, Click and Clack.
And we'll see you here again, if you like, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard on Thursdays.